What's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing a virtual world deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this for you guys because this deck is a really fun deck to play that I've included all sorts of spicy tech cards in this build for you guys. So without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards. Like getting your name scratched in every single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your Patreon. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Virtual World Lulu. This card is an amazing 3-of and a card you always want to see in your opening hand. And all of your Virtual World monsters, except for one in the main deck, actually share a common effect. And if this card is in your hand, you can target a Virtual World card that you control, and send a Virtual World card with a different type, monster, spell, or trap from your deck to the graveyard. And if you do, special summon this card from your hand. Then you get a unique ability depending on the Virtual World card that you're summoning. For example, this card lets you add any Virtual World card from your deck to your hand of the third type from your deck to your hand, which is a really cool ability for this card to have to instantly get to the card that you need. And it's amazing how they all have that common effect to extend your plays by special summoning themselves out to your side of the field. I love that about the Virtual World cards, and it's just so cool. We then play 3 copies of GG. GG is a really good 3-of in the deck that has the exact same ability to be able to special summon itself to your side of the field, which is a great ability for this card to have. But it has a unique ability that if you do special summon this card, then during the end phase of this turn, you get to add a virtual monster from your graveyard to your hand so that you can get your cards back to your hand, which is a great effect for this card to have. We then play 3 copies of Lao Lao. Lao Lao is one of the best cards in the entire build because when this card is summoned to your side of the field, you actually get to special summon a virtual monster from your grave and defense position with a different name from the card sent to the grave, but negate its effects, which is a great effect just to instantly get another monster on your side of the field to go in for all sorts of amazing plays. Plus, this card is a level 6 tuner, which opens up some really crazy plays. We then play 3 copies of Lily. Lily is basically a walking foolish burial, which is why we play this card as a 3-of in the build. We then play 3 copies of Nyan Nyan. This card is really awesome, and it's the only Virtual World monster that actually doesn't share that ability of being able to special summon itself to your side of the field with that ability. But it has a great effect that if a level 3 monster is normal or special summoned to your field while this card's in the graveyard, you can special summon this card as a tuner monster, but banish it when it leaves the field. Also, for the rest of the turn, you can only special summon level 3 and rank 3 or higher monsters, and if this card is banished, you can actually target one other banished card and shuffle it back in the deck. And you can only use effect this card once per turn, which is a great effect to be able to use on this card. But all of your virtual monsters also share that ability that they lock you into level 3, rank 3, or higher monsters for the rest of the turn. And they're all hard once per turns, but they're all really good because they can special summon themselves, which is so cool. We then play 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom is a definite 3-of in the build, just to basically stop your opponent from touching the deck, and it's one of the best hand traps ever created. We then play 3 copies of Droll and Lockbird. Droll and Lockbird is also great as a 3-of in the build, just to stop your opponent from searching anymore for the rest of the turn, and you can essentially just end turns, which is why we play this card as a 3-of in the build. So, that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to start with a single copy of Harpy's Feather Duster. This card is just really good overall at just dealing with your opponent's back row. We then play a single copy of Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave is great as a 1-of in this build to just stop your opponent from hand trapping you while you're going in for all of your plays. We then play 2 copies of Triple Tactics Talents. This card is really good in this build because it has a great ability that if your opponent activates a monster effect during your main phase, you can either draw 2 cards, take control of one of your opponent's monsters, or look at your opponent's hand and shuffle 1 card from their hand back into the deck, which is a really cool ability for this card to have just to look at your opponent's hand, be Pot of Greed or Change of Heart, which is super cool. We then play 2 copies of Pot of Desires. We play just about everything we need as a 3-of in this build, so playing this card as a 2-of in the deck is just a really good option just to help you dig into the deck to get to the exact cards that you need. We then play 3 copies of Emergency Teleport. We do play a lot of Psychics in this deck, so this card does help out a lot in this build just to get the exact Psychic you want on your side of the field, and this card is great as an extender in this build. We then play 3 copies of Kowloon. Kowloon is really good in this deck because it lets you place a virtual gate from your deck face up in your spell and trap card zone. Then you can apply any of the following effects in sequence based on the number of virtual gate cards that you control. If you control +2, then all virtual monsters you control gain 2 on attack this turn. If you control +3, you send the top 3 cards of your deck to the grave, and if you control +4, you special summon up to 4 virtual monsters with different names from your extract, which never comes up, but the other 2 do come up every so often. But it's really good just to get that virtual world card on your side of the field. We then play 3 copies of Quan Long. Quan Long is really good as a 3-of in the build because it lets you banish a virtual card from your graveyard, then target a face-up monster on the field and negate its effects until the end of the turn, which is a really cool ability for this card to have to just instantly stop your opponent's card effects. You can also banish this card from the graveyard to add a virtual monster from your deck to your hand, then send a card from your hand to the graveyard, which is a really cool ability to instantly get to the card that you need. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're just going to be playing a single copy of this Virtual World Gate. We only need a single copy in this build, but this card is great because during the battle phase, if you control another Virtual World Gate card, you can actually target a face-up monster on the field and change its battle position. And during your main phase, you can banish this card from the grave and then target a Virtual World monster in your grave and special summon it, mitigate its effects, and then send a card from your hand to the grave, which is a really cool ability for this card to have, but you can only use each effect of this card once per turn, and you only activate 1 of this card per turn. We then play 2 copies of Chuchi. This card is really good as a 2-of in the build. I really feel like this is the best trap one because it has a great ability that lets you target a face-up card on the field and shuffle 2 of your banished virtual cards with different names from each other into the deck and then destroy that card, which is a great ability just to be able to pop cards on the field while also recycling some of your resources. And during your main phase, you can actually banish this card from the grave and then target a virtual world monster you control and increase or decrease its level or rank by 3 until the end of the turn, giving the exact level that you need to go in for your plays. We then play 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Impermanence is really good in this build at just stopping your opponent's monster effects while also locking down entire columns of spells and traps. I really feel like this is the perfect number for the Virtual World Gates. 3 copies of Quan Long, just a single copy of this, and 2 copies of Chuchi is the exact number that I've always played in this build, and I really like it in this deck. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, guys, we're going to start off with a single copy of Fan Fan. Fan Fan is really good as a 1-of in the deck, and it's super easy to make rank 6s in this build. It has a great effect that once per turn, you can detach 2 materials from this card and then target a face-up card your opponent controls and 1 card in either player's graveyard and banish them, which is great for this card to be able to do just to deal with cards on the field. And if this XZ summon card is destroy a battle with an opponent's attacking monster or by an opponent's card effect while this card is in its main monster zone or in a monster zone, you can special summon 2 virtual monsters with the same type and attribute as each other from your deck, being able to replace this card, which is super cool. We then play a single copy of M7 because this card is just awesome in the deck. I absolutely love this card because it has a great ability that once per turn you can detach an XZ material in this card and then target 1 monster on the field or in your player's grave and return it back to the hand, which can be really helpful to be able to recover cards back to our hand or bounce cards off the opponent's field. We then play a single copy of Lars. You gotta play the 1 copy of Lars. This card is generic and it's amazing because this card is really good in this particular build. That while this card is XZ material, your opponent got to target it with monster effects, and when your opponent has activated a card effect, quick effect, you detach 2 materials from this card, and then you get to target a face-up card your opponent controls and negate its effects until the end of the turn, which is a great effect. And then play a single copy of Gaia Charger just so we can give a monster an additional material to be able to go in for Zeus. This card can be made on any of these other cards that we've already laid down, which is really good. Any rank 6 card this card can be made on top of, so we can go in for Zeus or go in for piercing damage, which is really nice. 1 copy of Fortune Tune. This is so we can make Zeus, and it's basically just a really easy rank 3 to be able to make in the deck. We play a single copy of Zeus. Zeus is great in this build because we play so many different XZs, and it's very easy to go into with cards like Fortune Tune and Gaia Charger, just being able to make this card super easy. We then play a single copy of Ultimate Tzolk'in because it's so easy to put a level 6 tuner on your side of the field and a non-tuner level 6 monster to make this card. I don't feel like you need Crimson Dragon. I feel like you need Ultimaya in this build because it's so much better, and you don't have to make multiple ranked or level 12 synchro monsters to go in for cards like King Calamity. I feel like this is the best option here because you can make cards like Crystal Wing, which is just so good at protecting your plays. I feel like Crystal Wing is a really good option for Ultimate Tzolk'in. Plus, with Tzolk'in, we can actually make another really cool extra deck monster we're going to get into in just a minute. We then play a single copy of the Virtual World QB. This card is basically walking Macrocosmos, because any card sent from the field to the grave is banished instead. You can only use the following effects card once per turn, that when your opponent declares an attack, you can return a banished monster to its owner's graveyard, and then during your main phase, except turn this card was sent to the grave, you banish 2 other monsters from the grave with different original types and attributes from each other, and special summon this card back from the grave, which is easy to do in this build. This card is extremely sticky and just really good because it can end entire games because it does stop the graveyard, which is really nice. We then play a single copy of the Vermilion Dragon Mech. This card is good because it does banish a tuner from the hand, grave, or the face from field, and targets card on the field and destroys it, which is a great ability for this card to have. We then play a single copy of Yugioh. This card is awesome as a 1-of because it can't be destroyed by battle or by card effect while you have 2 or more monsters in your grave with the same original type and attribute, but different names. And you also banish 2 monsters from your graveyard with the same original type and attribute, but different names, and then target a card on the field and send it to the graveyard. And it does send, and it doesn't destroy, which is really good. We then play a single copy of Coral Dragon. It is a tuner synchro monster to help us climb into other cards. Plus, once per turn, you can discard a card and then target a card your opponent controls and destroy it, which can come up. And if you use this card as synchro material, you do get to draw a card, which is really nice. Let's play a single copy of Stardust Charge Warrior, because when this card is synchro summoned, you do get to draw a card, which is really nice. 1 copy of Muddy Mud Dragon, because we do fusion summon in this build using this card and Ultimate Tzolk'in to summon out Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. Now, you might be looking at this card and going, wait, where's the Dark Magician? Where's the Red Eyes? You don't need it. You play the copy of Muddy Mud Dragon, which can be used as a fusion substitute, plus a Dark Dragon, which your copy of Ultimate Tzolk'in is, and you use these 2 with your copy of Muddy Mud Dragon's ability as a walking poly to be able to use these 2 to make Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, which gives you a walking negate. Plus, it's super easy to do this. Like, this is ridiculously easy to pull off with the copy of Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, and you also get a Crystal Wing out of it, which is super cool. So you usually end with these 2 on the field, which is just absolutely nuts. I love that about these 2, and it's really cool to be able to summon out one of the best synchros and the best fusion card ever created. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played Virtual World before, you should definitely give this deck a try because it's super fun to be able to just turbo out all sorts of really cool boss monsters, and it's really consistent. Like, I really love this deck, especially the pure version of this deck, because you can summon out all sorts of really cool boss monsters. So that's going to do for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.